Welcome, Stephen. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Kristen, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And elementary Spanish, the name on my screen says Stirja, so I'm sure that is your email. So if you let me know what your name is, I won't call you Stirja. Hi, Kristen. How are you today?
Hi, good, thanks. How are you?
So far, so good. Oh, Janny, all right. Well, and if you could all turn on your videos, we're going to make history this morning, and I need your videos turned on just briefly. If you don't like your video on after that, then don't worry about it, but just briefly. Awesome. Jenny, doing good today? All right. Stephen, all right today? Excellent. All right, we'll give it another minute since we have such a small crowd. We'll see if anybody else shows up. Stephen, what do you teach? Kristen, what do you teach?
I teach 7th grade humanities and Avid.
All right.
I teach 7th grade science, and I'm just here because it's the start 10:30 time, and I'm seeing whether things I can use for what I'm doing.
Awesome, great. Janny, what is your experience with Book Creator?
I have none. I was interested in it because I'm at Flex online this year, and so I was thinking it might have some project activity options for me. I teach. I am credentialed for ESL and for language arts and for drama and stuff like that. But I mean, I take these personal development days very personally, and so even if I can't use it this year, I maybe use it some other time. And so I used to be a paste-up artist way back in dinosaur days, and so the idea of making books still I relish.
Excellent. Kristen, how familiar are you with Book Creator?
Not really much at all.
Okay, good.
Actually, my kid's teacher is using it, and he's in 1st grade. He's right here. We're trying to get him
I
put
see
up on Seesaw right now.
Don't worry. Listen, I have 3 kids. Luckily, my wife is home today because they don't have school today.
Yeah.
So I'm praying that they all stay out there. So like if they come in, no worries. So my 3 kids, well, they're 10, 6, and 3. And my 10 and 6-year-old are both doing online learning. And my wife is she's a guidance counselor at the school that my kids go to. And so they have a choice. You can either be all in, all out, or some kind of like weird hybrid model. And so my daughter's had some health issues in the past year. So we decided to go all out and just let them stay home. And I'll tell you what, that's a whole different dynamic when you got 3 kids running around and I'm trying to do like webinars and things like that. So all those days that I spent away for weekends and traveling for Book Creator and things like that, and my wife was home alone, I have a completely new appreciation for it because like I'm just like that's why my hair looks like this. So all right, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and get started here because we do have a small crowd, and I'm not going to keep you any longer than we need to. And because I hear that we have relatively little experience with Book Creator, we're going to kind of do a little bit of a flip. So I know that I think the agenda said that we were going to talk specifically about, reading, writing, speaking, things like that. We're going to still talk about those, but I'm going to take a more generalized approach to Book Creator and just kind of show you all of the things that it can do. And then as we're doing this, I want to be able to talk with everybody and hopefully we'll get those ideas of how you can use it in science, how you can use it in language. And Kristen, I'm sorry, I forgot what you said you taught.
Oh, humanities.
Yeah, I just remembered. Awesome. Yes. So we'll try to figure out how we can make this all kind of work. All right. So that's where we're going to go for. That's where we're going to head out with today. So first off, let me go ahead and share my screen here and make sure I'm sharing the right one. Do you all see the book that right there, the Book Creator book? Awesome. Excellent. So First off, my name is John Smith. I am the iPod teacher on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter and you want to give me a follow, then great. If not, no worries. This session is being recorded. So if you want to watch it later, Eric will have the recording. I am also John Smith at bookcreator.com. So if you do have any follow-up questions afterwards, you can certainly reach out to me there as well. As I mentioned, I'm married. I've got 3 kids, 10, 6, and 3. I taught special ed for 12 years. After that, I was a technology integration specialist for 7. And now as Book Creator's Teacher Success Manager, lots of webinars, lots of trainings, conferences when that was a thing, traveling, speaking, whatever, sales, a little bit of everything. That's kind of what I do. I love golf and I love clean cars. So if you're ever out near Ohio, I'm from Ohio, I like to detail cars on the side. So if you have a dirty ride and you're ever this way, drop it off and I'll be more than happy to wash that car for you. On a side note, I just want to say too that I'm really excited to get to work with everybody today. Steve Simpson and I had been talking for about 1.5 years, and we had a sprinkling of licenses here and there throughout the district. And I was really excited when I got an email from somebody else in the district recently saying that they were interested in licenses. And we were able to get it to the point where everybody in your district now has full access to the paid version of Book Creator. So we're super, super excited about that. So if you did not know that, you do have full access. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means here in just a minute. So the revised agenda for today is that we're going to take a deep dive into Book Creator, and we're going to talk about all of the features that you can use. And then we're going to have, discussions about how you can use it in your own content areas. So if at any point there's a question, you can either put it into the chat window, or since there's only 3 of us here, or 4 of us total, then feel free to just unmute yourself and stop me at any point and say, can you show me that again? Or yeah, look, pen tool looks really cool, but I don't know how I'm going to use it with my humanities class. Whatever. Just feel free to stop me so that we can make the most out of our time today. All right. So first things first, if you have not logged in or tried Book Creator, looks like we do have somebody else popping in here. Let me let them in. Welcome, Wendy. All right. So Wendy, just a quick recap. We're going to kind of scrap the original plan. We're going to take a deep dive into Book Creator, and we're going to figure out how to use Book Creator in your own content areas. So if you have any questions, Wendy, as we go along, feel free to just unmute yourself and interrupt. And that way we can really make the most out of our time today. All right. So first things first, I do believe that you are all a Clever district. So I think that Book Creator is set up through Clever for you. So if you go to this website, app.bookcreator.com, and I'll put that into the chat window as well. So app.bookcreator.com. This is our sign-in site. Now, I do want to just make sure you are aware of 2 things, and this is very important. I actually just emailed Steve earlier about this, Steve Simpson, that is. There is a student sign-in side and a teacher sign-in side. All right, so we need to be very careful because we don't want students signing in as teachers, and we don't want teachers signing in as students. All right, so students click the student button, and then they'll sign in with Google, Microsoft, QR code, or Clever. And then the same thing for you as teachers. Click teacher and then sign in with Microsoft or Google, Microsoft, email, or Clever. Once you have done that, the very first time, if you haven't tried this yet, what it's going to do is it's going to associate your school email with the fact that you have access to licenses. And then it's going to just say, do you want to be part of the Beaverton School District organization? You say yes, and then that's it. You're automatically upgraded to the full version of Book Creator. The very first time you log in, it's going to ask you a couple of questions. What do you teach? What grade level? That kind of stuff. And then it's going to ask you to create a library. Now, right now, don't worry too much about the name of the library. Don't get too hung up on that yet, because we'll have plenty of time to worry about that. But just put something in there so that you can get started. And if you're capable of multitasking and you want to play around as we're going through this, great. If not, if you just want to listen and watch, that's fine too. So when you create your very first library, it's going to look something like what you see here on the screen, except it won't have any books in it. All right, so it's just going to be an empty library, and that's okay. I want to bring your attention to the top left. So right next to the name of your library, there is a set of lines. And if you click on those lines, it will take you to your teacher dashboard. And so this is a really important place, mostly because it's just filled with tons of ideas for using Book Creator. All right, we'll get to those in a minute. Right here, the very first section, this is your library, right? These are where your books and libraries will live. This locked library is really just a rough draft area. It's a place for you to play with things, try things out. There's no fear of students joining this library. It's just for you. Then, with the plan that your district has, you have access to 1,000 books, unlimited libraries. So you can make a library for every kid. You can make a library for every class, small groups, certain projects, totally up to you. But this is where those libraries live. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a section that says shared with me. And so what you can do is you can actually join other libraries. So Kristen, for example, she creates a library and she's working on a project with Janny. Then she can invite Janny to join her library and take a look at the books that are in there. Stephen can join. Everybody can join those libraries just to kind of look in them and see what's going on. And then at the top, I want to bring your attention back up here to the top. There is this Discover tab. And the Discover tab is really awesome. And this place is a great place for you to look for ideas for using Book Creator. So right here at the top, we have some books that we wrote as a company or that we had some of our Book Creator ambassadors write. So podcasting, digital citizenship, just creativity in the classroom with Book Creator. These are amazing books. Definitely want you to check those out. If you scroll down even further, there is a section here of books and resources by grade level. So these are books written by students and teachers on different grade levels. So if you're a high school teacher, you click high school, and then we've got sample books written by high school students and teachers, middle school, elementary, and kindergarten pre-K. I definitely want to encourage you, regardless of the grade level that you teach, to take a look at other grade levels because it gives you lots of ideas for content, maybe some ideas for design. There's just some really awesome things that you can see by clicking on these different grade levels. So definitely want you to check those out. And down below that, we have more books written by our Book Creator ambassadors with formative assessment, social emotional learning, digital citizenship. There was one in here, social studies projects, science projects, embedding content, elementary classroom, big picture, supporting language learners, right? So many options here. And these books, again, are just amazing, wonderfully designed, tons of great content. Definitely want you to check those out. And then underneath that, we do have books by subject. So again, science teacher, Stephen wants to click inside the science section here. You'll see lots of examples. We've got a language section. We've got creative arts and social studies. So many options here. So definitely want you to look into these books because there really are some amazing resources in there. The next tab over the top there is the Learn tab. And this is just a really good place to either A, learn new things, or B, refresh your memory on things that you may have forgotten. So for example, I'm gonna talk probably a little bit today about accessibility. So as we're going through the different features, we're gonna talk about how Book Creator is great for accessibility options. And you get done today and you're like, oh gosh, what did John say about captions? I don't remember. You can either go back and watch the video, or if you click on any of these little buttons here, they will take you to a new site that has step-by-step directions and tutorials on how to do everything that we talk about. All right, so this is a really great place to check those resources out. If you scroll down even further, this is our relatively new Book Creator Certified Author program, which is really cool. If you click the blue button to join the course, you get a new tab that says certification. Now, the downside is if you don't like me after today, you're kind of out of luck because there are 14 videos of me showing you how to use Book Creator in step-by-step fashion. All right, so 14 videos followed by a quiz. Watch the videos, pass the quiz, and then you become a certified author. And if you click that blue button, you get this really cool badge that you can put onto your email or social media. And then the really nice thing about this badge too is that your district, they have access to an admin console, so they can see all of the teachers in the district that are joining Book Creator. But then they can also see which teachers are in progress or which ones have completed the certification program. So maybe it will count toward professional development hours. Maybe it'll count toward license renewal. Janie already said that she loves professional development so that she can just increase her knowledge. So again, there's one more hour worth of professional development that you can get into. So it's really awesome even for those people who are super familiar with Book Creator. It really has some golden nuggets in there that will really get you excited. So definitely want you to check that out. And then because I know some people like competitions, there is a school district that a month into our certification program, all right, it's only been out for about 3 months now. A month into our certification program, there was one school district, Kansas City Public Schools, that had 300 teachers already certified as Book Creator certified authors in less than a month. So I throw this out there to every big district especially, and I know that you have more than 300 teachers in your district, so we're good there. Talk to your friends, get them certified, see if you can be number one. All right, that's the thing. All right, so those are all of the tabs inside of the teacher dashboard. All right, so I'm going to click the little X button here. I'm going to go back to the library. When you create this library, if you want to invite students to join your library, there's 3 things that students can do once they've joined, all right, your library. We'll talk about those here in a second. First off, there's a little blue button right here at the top that says invite code. And if you click this button, a code will pop up and you will give your code to your students. Now this code, I'll put this code into the chat window. So if you want to join my library and you want to play around in there, you can certainly do so. But your students will get a different code. So every library that you create has its own code, very similar to like a Google Classroom kind of setup. So you have a code, you share that with your students, share it through email, share it through text, share it through Classroom, share it through whatever, right? However you put it up, write it up on the board, right? However you want to do this, you share the code with your students and then they will join. So when they go to the sign in site, they click student, sign in with one of those options. The very first thing it's going to ask them is for a code. All right. And that's awesome. So they put in the code and now they're a part of your library. Now that they're in your library, like I said, they have 3 options. Option number 1 is that they can just view any of the books that are in your library. So if I created these books like I did here today, if you join my library, you'll be able to click these little arrows and scroll through and look at the different books, but you won't be able to do anything with them. You'll just be able to look at them. All right, so that's option number 1. Option number 2 is up here to the top right. There's a button that says new book. If you click on new book, you can choose to make a book inside my library. So students can make books independently inside your library once they have joined. Now, a little bit of, personal preference, I guess here. We have 6 different book styles. A lot of times what happens is students and teachers will look at these book styles and say, I don't want to make a comic book. I'm going to choose the top row. All right, the top row are our standard books. The bottom row are the comic books. My own personal preference is this. I wish we'd get rid of the top row. All right, and here's why. Even if you don't want to make a comic book, the bottom row is still a great place to go because it has the comic features. Comic text. My brain just stopped working there for a second. Comic text, comic panels, stickers, things like that. If you choose the top row, they're not there at all. So a lot of times what will happen is we'll have students and teachers get about 5-10 pages into a book and say, well, where are the comic features? They're not there because they chose the top row. So for me, I always choose the bottom row, regardless of the book I'm making. Totally up to you, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. All right, so first option, students can read any of the books that I've made in the library. Option 2, students can create their own books inside my library. And then option number 3 is right here under the share button. If I click the share button, one of my options is to collaborate. And I just think this is a really awesome feature, especially with remote learning and distance learning and hybrid learning, whatever else you've got going on. The collaboration feature, if I turn this on, will allow students to work on the same book together. So very similar to like a Google Docs style kind of collaboration. So I click the button that says collaborate. I have two options. All right. One you don't see here yet because nobody joined my library, and that's okay. One option is that everybody in that library can collaborate on the book. Now, that makes some teachers a little bit nervous because we do not have a revision history right now. So it's kind of like the Wild West, right? If I just open up that book to collaboration, everybody can have a page. They can all work on the same page. But if I've got that one kid who wants to delete something, he can delete it. All right. So that's a little troubling, right? For some. I've done many collaboration projects and I've never had an issue, but I get it. Once students join your library, then a new button will appear right here in the middle that says change. And if you click change, you can actually pick which students can collaborate on that book. So you could pick 1 or 2 students, 3 or 4, 10, 20, totally up to you. You pick which students can collaborate on that book. You hit start collaboration, and then a new icon appears on the book, and everybody can work on that book. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. So again, this icon means that we can all collaborate on that book together. Same page, different pages, same time, different times, whatever. Doesn't really matter. So if you decide to join my library, this is our little playground book here. So I'm just going to go to a blank page and I'm going to show you all of the cool features inside Book Creator. And I think this is where we'll really start to understand how this is going to fit inside of our curriculum. I always tease and say the worst thing about our company is our name, Book Creator, because usually when you say books, that's when the math and science teachers are like, peace out. We don't do books. We do math and science. Right. And there's so much more to it, right, than just books. So if I click this plus button, this is one of the most important buttons on this inside of Book Creator, the plus button and the I button. Plus button allows you to add content. The I button is the inspector. It allows you to manipulate that content. All right. So I'm going to click the plus button. We have 3 categories: media, comics, and shapes. All right. So I'm going to start with shapes because they're the least exciting, and I'm going to work my way up to the really cool stuff. So with shapes, I'm just going to click on a shape and it gets added to the page. Fairly self-explanatory. I can click that shape, I can move it around, and I can drag the little sliders and make the size different. Now, what I really like though about shapes is when you start looking a little bit deeper. All right, so if I click inside the shape, I can now type inside that shape. If I click the inspector button, I can change the color. I can change the shadow. I can add a border. If I add a border, I can choose a border color. If I go back, I can choose the border width. And if I do have text, I have an option for text settings. So I can change the fonts. My personal favorite is Open Dyslexic, a font specifically for dyslexic students. I can change the color and I can drag the slider and change the size. So now, instead of just a shape, I have kind of a fancy text box. Now, I've seen some teachers do some really cool things with these shapes. Graphic organizers, mind maps, timelines. I'm trying to think what else. Venn diagrams, right? I've seen all kinds of things that teachers have done with these shapes. During remote learning, one of the things that teachers want to say often to us is, do you have a commenting feature? And the answer is we don't. So what teachers are doing is they're taking these shapes, putting in comments and feedback inside the shape, and just kind of shoving it over here off to the side of the book. And so now when a student's work is on the page, they come into the book, they see the teacher comment, they make the adjustments on the page, and everything is great. All right, so I've seen some really cool things there. Yeah, Stephen, got your hand up. Oh, I think you muted yourself, Stephen. I think you were unmuted there to begin with.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you do mind mapping where it's all set up for you and it's easily done, or you just manipulate each shape and add the webs and everything else?
Yeah, so you would have to manipulate the shapes yourself. However, I will say that you could, as a teacher, you could create a template map for your students. So if I take this shape and just copy it, a few different times, I can just bring these shapes down here like this and put it any way I want. And so then when students join the book, you could say, tell me 4 things that you learned about plants today, or the rock cycle. They could, and then they could just add their own information inside of it. So we'll talk a little bit more later about how to make a template and what that means in terms of how students get the pages and all that kind of stuff. But you kind of get a general idea of what you can do there. Kristen.
Maybe we're going to cover this later, but if you're inviting kids to collaborate to one book, do teachers typically just make one page for every student before they invite them to collaborate and then put their name on their page so they know where to go? Or how does that, I guess, logistics?
It totally depends. I've seen it multiple ways. My son, last year when he was in 3rd grade, his teacher created one book, put their name on every page, on each page, and said, find your name, and that's the page you work on. And it worked out really well for them. I've also seen other teachers where they'll take this mind map, for example, copy it 100 times in 100 different pages, invite students and say, find a blank mind map, start working on it. So it's totally up to you. There is also an option where a student can everybody has their own individual book, and then you can combine them at the end. So again, if that collaboration piece gets a little scary, right, then have everybody do something separately, and then you can combine them at the end. And I'll show you that later in the webinar. All right, excellent, great questions. All right, so those are the shapes. Oops, I missed. There we go. All right, plus button. Next section, media. So under the media category, there is a lot happening. The very first one is the import button. And under the import button, we have a lot of options. The first one is Google Images. Now, what's really nice about this is I can just search right here inside of Book Creator. I don't have to go to another tab. I don't have to go out to another website. It's just built right into Book Creator. I find the image I like, I click on it, and then I hit select. And then that image will get added right to the page. Now from here, thank you. Now from here, I can resize this image. I can move it around. I can rotate it. But then there's some other cool features too. All of these images that are in that search are Google Safe Search images. So they're the safest images Google allows. They're all labeled for commercial reuse with modification, and they're all labeled as non-attribution. So these are about the safest images that you're going to find, all right, in terms of like copyright laws and rules and things like that. If I click the image and then click the inspector button, I can also hyperlink my image to a specific website. So now when somebody reads my book, if they click on the dog, it takes them to a website, or I can even hyperlink it to a specific page. So now I'm thinking choose your own adventure stories, visual table of contents, so many options. Click on the dog, it takes them to whatever page is listed. And then we also have some accessibility text here. So, if you're writing your book and you're sending it out there to parents and students, chances are you might encounter somebody who has a specific disability, like a visual impairment, for example. So somebody with a visual impairment, if they click the play button, the book will read to them. It'll read the text, it will play the audio, it will play the video, but it kind of glosses over the images. Well, if I put in something here like white fluffy dog on a deck, now the play button will also read the image. So it will say image, white fluffy dog on a deck. So this is really important. I always talk to students about audience and who we're writing our books for. And that would include everybody, right? Including if you have a visual impairment or a hearing impairment or something along those lines. Oh, all right. No worries, Kristen. Thank you. Once the recording will be shared. Yeah, for sure. All right, so those are some options with images. All right, next, plus button, media, still under import. The next one is Google Maps. Now I love Google Maps. Whenever you share it with kids, guaranteed, first thing they're going to do is find their house because they want to see what their house looks like from space, right? So they type in their address, there's their house, you hit select, and now that image gets added right to the page. So I can resize this, and there's my house. Now, I think this is a really good opportunity to pull in something else like shapes. So if I go to shapes, I can grab an arrow here and now I can annotate, right? So there's my house, there's my wife's clean car. If I'm a math teacher, there's an acute angle, there's a 90-degree angle. This house has an obtuse angle over here. If I'm the science teacher, maybe I'm talking about vegetation, I'm talking about landforms, I'm talking about all kinds of different things. So lots of things you can do just by labeling over a Google map. Historical timelines, the pen tool, which we'll get to in a little bit. You can even draw over top of these maps or images, and you can annotate. So many features that you can use there with those maps. All right, next, plus button, media. Still under import, the next one is files. Now with files, I can find things on my computer and I can bring those into a book. So for example, if I have a PDF, I click open, and now I've got this PDF that I've uploaded directly into the book. So this could be a PDF of an article that you are, that your students are reading. It could be a PDF of some instructions on how to solve problems. It could be anything that you really want. And what a student does is they just click on the PDF and it opens it in a little pop-up window. So these are my car cleaning guides, right? So here's all the things I need to do to get your car nice and clean. And so I read it, I click the X, and then on my page, I go through and I demonstrate my learning right there on the page. So I just think this is a really great feature. Again, PDFs, photos, videos, documents, audio, video, anything that you have on your computer, basically you can dump right into Book Creator. Same thing under import with your Google Drive. So if you connect it to your Google Drive, you can pull in your Google files right inside of the book, and it's really awesome. And then the last one under this category that I think is really powerful. Now, I think this is great just for 100 different reasons, but one of the things I really like is the embed feature, because it allows me to take content from other sources and it allows me to put it into my book. All right, now YouTube is the easiest one to demonstrate. So if I go to this video right here, I click on the video. I'm going to pause this because I don't need to listen to the commercials, but underneath the video, there is a share button. If I click the share button, click on this button, it says embed. I now get this code. All right, this code means nothing to me, but I'm going to copy it anyway. I'm going to go back to my book and I'm going to paste that code right there. I'm going to confirm the link. And now I see the video, the link, and the title, and I say add to book. Now that YouTube video is added directly in the book, which is awesome. So if you are teaching a science concept, for example, and you want a cool YouTube video to reinforce that topic, you can dump it right inside the book. If you are a math teacher and you need a Khan Academy video to help your students understand how to solve polynomials, right, or whatever, you can dump those videos right in there too. So really powerful. But the cool feature is when you click play, watch what happens.
This isn't my first time ever in the freeway with our new.
All right, the video plays automatically. No commercials at the beginning, no commercials at the end, no comments underneath, and none of that sidebar stuff over on the right, which is where kids get lost for days. So it's just the YouTube video. All right, so super, super powerful. Love it. If you don't think kids like videos, just look at the number of statistics on YouTube, TikTok, all those things that these kids love. They love video. So if we can harness that and use that with our students, we're even in better shape. All right. Other things that you can embed, YouTube, Vimeo, Soundtrap files, Desmos calculators, Flipgrid, Padlet, Powtoon, Explain Everything, everything inside of Google, right? You can embed those right inside the book, which is really powerful. All right, next, plus button, media. The next one down is the camera. So the camera, fairly self-explanatory. You can either take a still picture, click use, and that gets added right to the page. Again, same thing. You can click on the image. You can resize it. You can even click the inspector and hyperlink it to a page or a website. Or you can click the media, camera, and you can record video. So it gives you that little countdown. Get out that last burp. Hey, everybody. John Smith here. It's a beautiful day here in Ohio. I hope it's the same for you. Click stop. Use recording. and now that video gets added right inside the book. Again, I think this is just a very powerful tool for students. They can document their learning. As teachers, we don't have to guess what's going on inside their head, right? They can solve problems for us and talk themselves through it, and now we can know where they make those mistakes. I just think it's a really powerful option, whether it's photos or videos, for students to show their learning. So definitely want you to check those out. Plus button, media. The next one down is the pen tool. And the pen tool is one of my favorites. It sounds super lame actually, but it is one of my favorites, all right? If I click on the black dot, I can choose the colors of my pen. Personally, I love these magic ink down here at the bottom. So as I'm drawing with my magic ink, the color is changing automatically. All right, your kids are going to go bananas over this, I promise. All right, they will love this tool. All right, and you probably do too. All right, next, I'm going to choose a regular color here, and then I'm going to go to the brush. We have a marker, a brush, a crayon, a highlighter, but my favorite is the auto draw. So if you've ever asked a student to draw something and they're above about 5th or 6th grade, they usually give you trouble, right? Because we're not artists, we're not creative, whatever. I love taking away excuses from kids, all right? Because I'm a terrible artist too. So here's what happens with auto draw. I'm going to draw a bike. Now I'm already upset because my bike tires look like deformed donuts instead of bike tires. But as I'm drawing my bike, at the top of the screen, auto draw is trying to figure out what it is. Is it a drum set? No. Is it a toilet? No, it's not a toilet. It's a bike. It's this one right here. I click on the bike, it fixes my drawing, and it actually makes me look like I know what I'm doing. I click the X, and then I can go to my colors. Maybe I go to my magic ink, go to the fill bucket, and now I can fill in my magical bike. I click done, and that image that I just drew can be moved around. It can be resized, and apparently because I'm old, I can make it pop wheelies. I said that in a webinar the other day, popping wheelies, and somebody looked at me like, "You're showing your age, John." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Nobody pops wheelies anymore." So apparently old people pop wheelies, everybody else doesn't. I still pop wheelies. So there we go. All right, so there's our magic pen. Under the pen tool, you can also click on the emoji button. And we actually have our full set of emojis in here, minus all the bad ones. But you can use emojis for different things. So for example, if I look up a shark, I can click on the shark emoji, and then I can resize it, move it around, and now instead of just a little thing that pops at the end of text and tweets, now it's a design element. So instead of going to Google, I can use emojis as kind of like clip art or objects, things like that. So some really cool options. Good, Stephen, your kids pop wheelies, so that's good. I'm glad. All right, so some really cool options with emojis. All right, so I definitely want you to think about using emojis again as a more as a design element instead of just some goofy thing at the end of a text message. All right. Plus button, media. Oh, I forgot to mention under the pen tool, again, you can draw stuff on top of other things. So if I have text on there, I can take the highlighter and I can highlight text. If I have a map, I can draw on top of a map or a photo. I've seen teachers even take photos of worksheets, dump them into Book Creator, and kids can actually solve math worksheets inside of a book, right? So probably not high on that SAMR model, but it's definitely a possibility. All right, next option is text. So if I click on text, fairly self-explanatory. I can type in my text. I can bold, italicize, underline. If I highlight the text, I can click the link button and link it to a page or a website. But my favorite feature in this text box is the microphone. And with the microphone, I can do speech to text. But not only can I do speech to text, I can actually do speech to text in 120 different languages. So if I speak Spanish, I choose drop down. I choose Spanish from the drop down that would appear right here. And then I can speak Spanish and it will do Spanish text. I could speak Italian. It would do Italian text. So it's super cool. Now mine's set for English. I hit the microphone. Good morning, everyone, period. I hope you're having a great day. And I just hit stop. Automatically puts that period at the end. and I hit done. My kids love this because I called it writing with your face. And the kids got a kick out of that, and they just thought it was fantastic that they were now authors, that they couldn't spell things before, they couldn't find the keys on the keyboard, but writing with their face really helped. So they love it. Now from here, if I click the inspector, I can change the size of the text. I can left, center, right, justify, bold, italicize, or underline, change the font, change the color, change the background. And we also have the ability now to add columns. So I can do 1, 2, 3, or 4 column text boxes. And then I can even add a shadow if I wanted to. All right, so some pretty cool options for text. The last one under the plus button is one of my favorites, and that is the record button. So if I click record, hit start, gives me that countdown again. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great day today. Let's get started with Book Creator. Hit stop, use recording, and now I have a bubble that I click on and it will play what I just said. So if we're talking about reading and writing and we're speaking and communication, it doesn't get much better than this, because now we've got students who can record their voice. You can hear their voice reading what they wrote on the page, which is way more cool than having the robot voice read it to me. Sound effects, you can play music in the background, so many options for this record button. So definitely want you to check that out. As a teacher, one of the things that I absolutely hated was having to read the same set of directions over and over and over and over again, like 15 times for a group of 5 kids. And so what you could do as a teacher is you could record directions right there inside the bubble. And when students get into the book, they can just listen to it over and over and over again until their heart's desire, right? So some really cool options there for the record button. All right, the last category is comics. So in the comic section, again, this will only show up if you choose one of the comic styles for your book. But in the comic section, you can choose panels. So I'm going to choose a panel style. If you click in the panel on the left side, you can pull images in from your Google, your file, or your Drive. So I'll type in dog. I'm going to hit select, and I'll add this image to the page. And so it fits perfectly right inside that panel. Now, if I want to move it or, kind of shift a little bit, I can click these little arrows and I can just move it kind of off to the side here. If you click inside the panel, the side on the right allows you to choose a picture right from your camera. I can use that and it gets dumped right inside the panel. And then from here, if I click the plus button, I can use the speech bubble. I can use the thought bubble. I can use special comic text. So we have some specialized comic text options, and I can use stickers. So we have 2 columns of stickers that we have made. And if you don't like ours, you can choose one of the blank stickers. And then you just click the plus button, text, and you can add some text on top. And so now we can make our own stickers. All right, so pretty cool there. If you click this white outside edge and then click the inspector, you can have comic backgrounds behind your panels. So now you can see it's really starting to come together, looking like a comic book. If I go to a blank page and hit the inspector, same things. I can choose the comic backgrounds if I want, or I can choose different color options for my page. I can choose different paper. So we have graph paper, small graph paper so tiny nobody's going to use it. We've got line paper, college ruled, kindergarten paper. We've got the dot game you play when you're bored at PD, the dot game you play when it's an all-day PD, and music paper, right? So we've got some pretty cool paper options. We also have different borders. We have different patterns. And we have different textures. Now, my daughter, she likes this one. She calls it unicorn paper. So we've got unicorn paper, we've got chalkboard, and we have shiplap. Now, just out of experience, if you're going to tell your kids that you have shiplap, be careful and really enunciate what you say, because if you don't enunciate, they're going to think you said something dirty and they're all going to laugh. Now, chances are they're going to laugh anyway, even if you said it clearly, but just be careful, right? So we've got all these different options for paper styles. All right, looks like we might have a class. Yes, so Stephen says, can you use Book Creator for individual interactive notebooks in a class? Yes, you can. All right, so let me show you what that might look like. So I'm going to, the first I'm going to show you is a really good example of exactly what you're talking about. So there was a teacher, and I just got to find the page here, so bear with me for 1 second. There was a teacher who made this book right here. So every week, what this teacher would do is this teacher would make a book that housed all of the lessons for the week. All right. And so what the students would do is she would announce this on a Sunday night. Students would make a copy of the book, which I'll show you here in just a minute. And then inside the book, here is Monday's lesson. Read the story, listen to the story, read about grammar, and then using the pen tool, draw lines to match up the synonyms. All right. So then on the next page, maybe it was a math lesson, drag and drop. So the teacher made these little interactive pieces where the student would drag and drop the shapes into the right places. Using the pen tool, answer the questions on this math worksheet. Using the pen tool, draw in the different directions or move the boxes. All right, so this was in a sense an interactive journal or notebook that these kids were going to be able to work in as the week went on. Now, what was really cool about this is the teacher would go in and she would leave comments and feedback on that student work. So when students were done with a page, she would leave comments and then they could see what they did right or wrong. So this, I think, Stephen, would be a really good example of one way to do that. You can certainly do anything you really want, right? You can make a page look any way you want it to look. And then here's the catch. You make the book, right? Whether it's 1 page, 2 pages, 100 pages of interactive stuff, you make the book. When your students join your library, underneath the book, there's a little icon here. It looks like 3 books. They're going to see the book. They're going to click the icon and they're going to say copy book. When they copy the book, they're going to choose to put it into your library. That's key, right? So they're going to copy it, put it into your library, and look what happens. It makes an instant copy of that book that only that student can edit. All right, that student and you. And it will not mess up your original. So now we've got this student work that they can manipulate, they can answer questions, and then you can see their understanding right there. Now, if you want to add extra pages to that work, okay, so maybe week 1, I've only got 5 pages in there that I want you to do. Well, week 2, I don't necessarily want to make a new book. I just want to add pages to the book that you're already using. Watch what happens. Inside the book, if I click on Pages View, there is a button up here that says Select. So I'm going to click Select. I'm going to select all of the new pages that I want my students to do. And then I'm going to go to this button that says Copy. I'm going to copy to. I'm going to choose the Beaverton Library. I'm going to choose which book I want it to go into, right? So if I just want it to go in Stephen's book, I click Stephen's book and I say copy pages. If I want it to go in Stephen and Janny's book, I click and I copy pages. Or if I want those pages to go into everybody's book, I copy the pages and then I say copy page. All right, now I'm going to undo that. I'm going to put it into this one, hit copy page, and guess what? There they are. It automatically dumped those pages that I just copied into the back of everybody's book in that library. All right, so really cool options there. So I think that would be very helpful for you for your interactive notebooks there, Stephen. From here, in this pages view, I can drag things and move pages around exactly where I want them to be. I can hit the 3 dots. I can make a copy of that page. It just duplicates it. I can move it to different places. I can insert a page, which just puts a blank page between it, and I can delete pages. If I go back to my books, this is the library again. For underneath the book, here are some more options. You can import a book from one place and bring it into your Book Creator account. You can move a book from one library to another. You can make that copy, or you can combine books. So we talked a little bit about this earlier. So I've got a library with 35 student books in it. I want to combine them all into one. I click combine. I choose the books I want in the order that I want, hit next, answer a couple of quick questions, and it takes all of those books and sucks them into one big book, which is really, really cool. Also underneath, I can delete a book. In the share button, I can publish my book online. So I click it once, check the title, check the author, click it again, and then that book is now available online for anybody to view if they have this link. So you're just going to copy this link, send it out through a Remind, a text, a website, newsletter, email, whatever you want to do. Send out that link, and then anybody, parents, administrators, community members, anybody that has that link is able to view that book. This is really powerful. Parents love it when students or when they can click on a link and see the books that their kids are making in school, right? It's just really, really powerful. If you make changes to a book that's been published online, they automatically appear. You do not have to stop publishing and republish. It's done for you. Underneath that share button, also we talked about collaboration. You can download your book as an ebook. Now it comes down as an EPUB file, which is not overly useful because you can view that in Apple Books or Book Creator. That's pretty much it. So I don't like this one as much. I love publishing online. That's really my go-to. And then there is an option to print. So if you want to, you can click print. It will download it as a PDF, and then you print that out on your own printer. We're not Shutterfly, so we're not going to send you a hardback copy of a book or something like that, but you can definitely print it out on your own. Looks like we got a question here. Can they put their book into their Canvas account, or do they need to go to Book Creator? So Book Creator has an LTI integration with Canvas, but it's a very limited integration. So basically, it's just a single sign-on kind of integration. If kids are going to make books, they have to go to Book Creator to make them. And then if you want them to submit something through Canvas, really the best option, like I would just have I would mark an assignment that says, is your book finished? Right? And if they say yes, and they turn it in, then you as a teacher know that you should go back into your library and read their book and see that it's finished. But there is no it's not like Google Classroom where I can do a document and say turn in, and then the teacher gets alerted that it's finished. So you kind of got to get a little creative with that. All right. And then at the top right, there is a setting icon. If you click on that, you can change the name of your library. You can turn on or off all of these features. Image search, students editing their own book. So if a deadline comes, you can turn it off and they cannot edit the book any longer. Students can read each other's books. Some teachers want kids to do that. Some teachers are like, nah, because they're going to cheat, right? So totally up to you. Students can turn on collaboration without your help. So normally the teacher turns on collaboration. If this is turned on, if I make a book as a student, I can turn on collaboration, invite some other student to come in and do my work for me. So totally up to you whether you want that on or off. Same thing with publishing. If this is turned on, kids can just publish their books willy-nilly without teacher assistance. So I always leave this off because I don't necessarily want them doing that right away. You can also archive your library. So if you don't need it anymore, you can get rid of it. And instead of publishing each individual book, you can actually publish the entire library. So I click Publish Library, answer a couple questions, one link, every book inside that library is now viewable at that link. All right, so some pretty cool options there. All right, we are coming quickly to the end of our time. And before I forget, I need to go here 1 second. Let me find this link. That's not it. Hang on 1 second. All right, I'm going to put a link into the chat window. It is case sensitive, Eric told me. This link will give you the evaluation for the session, right? Or for this afternoon. So don't forget to fill that out. But I do want to, before we leave, I do just want to say, are there any thoughts, ideas, any questions that you have? Again, feel free to unmute yourself. Let me know what you're thinking right now. Is this something you're excited about? You know, what ideas you have going through your heads right now? Stephen and Jana, you're the only two left. So tell me about it.
I just think it looks like so much fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, it has a lot
is.
of possibilities. And I would just, it's one of those things that you have to sit down for an afternoon and really go through it and see what comes up. But for language, it's perfect. It's perfect because I have kids tell things through narratives because that's the only way often for them to utilize things and feel engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Stephen?
I'm wondering about, I have a Google Slides interactive notebook already ready for my next unit, but I'm trying to gauge whether it's the novelty of something new like this or whether it's worth that extra time to transfer everything to it.
Yeah, I think it depends. I definitely think there's going to be a novelty effect, right? Because the students will be super excited about it. One of the questions that I get often, I guess, is how is this different than, say, like a Google slide? Okay.
Mhm.
Now, from your perspective, Stephen, I don't know if I can answer that question for you because I don't know. I don't know what your interactive notebooks look like specifically now, and whether or not putting them into Book Creator is going to be something that's long lasting and more engaging to kids. I don't have that yet, right? You can try it and you'll find out. But I will say from a creation standpoint, for me, and I don't know if it sounds snotty or however it comes out, but to me, it's true. If I were to look at a group of students and ask them, do you want to make a presentation or do you want to make a book? The engagement level goes up when you say you're going to make a book, because when I say I'm going to make a Google slide or a presentation, there's a certain expectation or stigma that goes along with it. PowerPoint, Keynote, any of those, bullet points, text boxes, very little imagery. Like that's what it looks like. But when I say we're going to make a book and we're going to become published authors, it's a different discussion. So I think it just depends. I think if you use Google Slides for interactive notebooks forever, at some point kids are going to be like, yep, here's my interactive notebook. If you use Book Creator for interactive notebooks for everything from here on out, they're probably going to say the exact same thing. So I think it just depends on the kids and what you're actually doing with those notebooks. I will say that the one benefit too that I can think of, especially of Book Creator over interactive, like Google Slides, is that Book Creator, you can add that audio right in there. You can, you don't have, like with Google, you can add audio, but you have to record it somewhere else, right? I have to record it in another program, save it on my computer, and then upload it to a slide. With Book Creator, I can put that right in. Same thing with videos. I don't have to access my drive. I don't have to pull in YouTube links. I can just click record and record a video right there. So there might be that opportunity to make your interactive notebooks even more interactive by allowing them to put extra bits and pieces in there that might not be available inside of a slide deck.
Yeah, it's a little more immediate with all the creative tools.
Yeah. So just some thoughts.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Did you both get that link for the evaluation?
Got
Okay.
it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, again, I just want to say thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm not going to keep you any longer. If you do have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I know you can reach out to Eric as well. I know he's well-versed in Book Creator. But just, be safe out there. Happy bookmaking, and have a good weekend.
We'll find this. We'll find this at the bottom of the invite that we signed up for. I would imagine.
I think so. And I'm not sure how Eric's going to get the video out or if he's going to post it somewhere. But somehow you'll get the video too.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.